Hello, hello, crossroads witches and other interesting magical beings. And those who are showing up thinking that that title that says fake witches, fake books is somehow clickbait, or I'm gonna get mean and call people out. First, it's not clickbait. Second, I don't in any way want to be mean. And before I start with that, with fake witches, fake books, I had a hard time with even putting that title, Fake Witches, down, because I don't think it's for one witch to tell another witch that they're real, that somehow they're qualified, or somehow they're less than, that they're fake. So I want to put that disclaimer out. And I'm going to talk about how I'm defining these fake witches, all right, and these fake books. And y'all know, those of which have joined me before, I have notes, because I really did have quite a few notes. And if you want to read this in its entirety, please go to houseofwitchcraft.com. And up there, you'll see the blog. You'll see all the notes. If you want to go back where you're like, what did she say? Here's a way for me, us to come to the understanding of what I'm talking about and how urgent, how dire, how horrific what is going on in our community. And that is the commercialization of magic. We have been identified as a $1 billion, the B $billion industry. All right. And it is great because we've got all sorts of cool stuff. And for me as an old witch, we didn't have all those fashion things. We didn't have all those wonderful bright and sparklies to put on our altar. I want to first say, I love aesthetics. I think they're great. I want to start with that before like I said, I got a couple of disclaimers. I think I'm getting ready to get harsh. Starting about with the profit-driven side of witchcraft. All you have to do is look on Etsy, eBay, and you see all these pre-made kits, all these secret spells and everything, who have these great personas up that they're, a hereditary witchcraft. They've been doing this for 30 plus years. They've got the stories, all right? And the first time they became a witch was when they sold us something in the community, all right? The only reason they're identifying as I'm a witch is because you're buying their things. They have no part of the community. They identified that $1 billion and went, I want a piece of this. I got to be a witch to get a piece of it. Sure, I'm a witch. I'm a witch. I got to write up a little persona story. I can write a persona story. Here, buy my wands, buy my candles, buy my herb kits, all right? They have nothing to do with the community. And we're seeing more and more of this. These fake personas. These are people who aren't even actively part of the community. We don't know who the hell they are. And they're out there claiming all sorts of stuff, selling their stuff at some serious moolah-la-la-la premium prices where I'm just, who in their right mind would buy that? Well, a lot of our young and novice people who I think a lot of people don't know better, people who are trying to find their spiritual path, think that that's what they're supposed to get. And that's why I'm making this video, because I want you to know true, authentic witchcraft cannot be bought or sold. It's inside us. And yes, as novices, young folks, as new people, it's difficult to figure out the real, the fake, and all of this. And what I'm going to say is that yes, you can, with a little research. Y'all research your boyfriends. I was just listening to them talking about, I Googled them and I saw this and I went and looked at this, and they know where they live. They know everything. That's how you need to treat the witchcraft community. You need to go down the rabbit hole, and you need to know who these people are, all right? And as they're selling crystals, they're selling spell kits, stuff that they just put together. They don't don't give a shit about. What they care about is the fact that you're willing to pay $39.95 for a little pile of stuff that they put together for less than $2. That's what they care about. And if they have to call themselves a witch, or they have to give themselves some other mystical, magical title, sure, call me that. I don't care. All right? And that we have to be very careful with these folks, and that making sure that we're keeping our dollars in the community, that we truly are supporting the witches and other interesting magical beings out there who are part of our community, who are making products that are meaningful, that they spend time with, that are full of good intentions. You know, I've in previous videos talked about some of the places I shop, and creations from the Hollow. Shout out to Miss Drew. She takes her shit serious. And I've been buying products from her for years now. I love her stuff. All right? And she's not big and fancy. She doesn't have the Instagram aesthetics and all that. She's an actual magical being who's putting together products. And no, I'm not paid or sponsored. Now, the second thing when we talk about, first I've just told you, oh no, all of this. Guess what? We got an even bigger problem. We got an even bigger problem, witches. And it's just, First of all, I take it personal because I am a writer. I am an author. And right now, our community is dealing with fake and copied books. And the fake books are copied, but they're sort of two separate where it's too easy to copy and paste. It's too easy to plagiarize. We are dealing with like an epidemic of when one of our genuine, our authentic folks writes a book. They put their heart, their soul, their essence of self into this work. And as soon as it becomes available, somebody's plagiarized it and is selling it for half price. There's a reason why you'll see like, oh my God, this book's $18.95, but over here it's a slightly different cover, but it's $8. All right, fake book. We have several of our authors that it's like playing, you know, they're writing amazing books. And I would like to say Psychic Witch by Matt Aaron. Great book. But he is they are dealing with so many different knockoffs, so many copies of plagiarized, you know, and people don't understand it. And also understand that these books, when they're plagiarized, they're not translated or copied well. And so it's sort of, some of the text is actually gobbledygook. And then some of the important stuff is left out. So here you are getting a book that makes no sense, and you're thinking that that author wrote that book. And that author did not write that book. The book they wrote makes sense, okay? And when we buy these knockoffs, we're supporting that, and we're not supporting the actual author. And just so y'all know, authors in our genre do not make a lot of money. All right? We are not Stephen King's of writers. You know, for some of us, realistically, a couple of $1,000, you know? I mean, I'm not gonna, there are, you know, a little more and a little less, but authors are not rolling in the dough. That's all I want to say there. Every sale counts. And also, when you see your work taken and twisted and then put out as yours, like I said, I know it's just so, how could you do that to me type attitude. But we need to be aware of this, that we are dealing with these fake books. We are dealing with plagiarized books, all right? And the flip side of all of that, just to make it worse, in case you're feeling really screwed, is the realization that we have the mysterious case of the non-existent authors. All right? I know some of y'all are aware that we have some of these authors that somehow they've put out over 500 books in the past 9 years. You go to Google them, there's really not a lot of information. And then you go to the publisher and you email them and they're like, oh no, they're a real person. No, they're not. All right. Let me tell you, publishers are creating entirely fake authors to sell more witchcraft books. And I can't say the names because I'm a published author and I really like to publish another book because that's how our industry is. But let me tell you, it's the big boys. All right? Look on your shelf. The ones that you have the most on, yeah, they're the ones that are doing it. They are recognizing the profit potential in the witchcraft trend, and it's easier to create a fake persona and to ghostwrite a book, all right, that they want, that's on trend, that uses all the buzzwords. You know what I'm saying, witches? You know what I'm saying? All right? And sometimes if you actually go look at like the bio, they have this really cool history. They're like I was saying earlier, you know, I'm a 6th generation hereditary witch, or I'm a direct descendant of this, or I'm that, you know. And then you really look at the community and nobody knows who the hell they are. All right? The people that are prominent in our community, we're a large community, but really we're not. All right, our elders and our prominent authors. I think the majority of us can go through a list of, oh, you know, this person, this person, this person, you know, because we see them in real life. All right. You know, I'd say one of our most prominent, let's say Christopher Penzac, he has the Temple of Witchcraft. He does, you will see him at different conventions. You may see him at gatherings. The temple also hosts different events there in person. And he is a writer and he great books. I think somewhere between 16 and 18 books he's had over the course of years. I don't want to age Chris. I have too much respect for him to do that. But what I'm saying is, we know he's a real person. We've seen him. He's been to events. People have gone up to his temple. All right, it's easy enough to be, he's real. As far as who we don't know is real, and there's been some back and forth muttering, is go down the rabbit hole of Lisa Chamberlain. She ain't real. It ain't real. All right, but I can't say that out loud, but I'm telling you, it ain't real. Completely made up by the publisher, and we're not going to talk about that. All right. These personas are dangerous. They're writing shallow books. It's, you know, a couple of people sitting in a room pasting and copying what they think is common knowledge, Googling stuff, creating a book. And when it comes to our folks, and especially our novices and our new seekers, here you are, you're sincerely trying to get knowledge. To find out a book that you really thought was cool was written by a fake persona. That's internally devastating. All right? It does so much damage to our new folk when they get a hold of these books. And so, yes, new folks, not all books are good in our community. Do your homework. It's like I said, it's easy enough to Google and you'll see where they're at in the community, where they've been, who they're standing beside, where they're posting. You know, what workshop. A lot of different prominent members hold workshops at their local magic stores, or if they're lucky enough to have their own homestead, they have events going on there. So you can very easily start discerning the bullshit from the real. And we all have to do that. You know, I mean, I've picked like a book and a big pop up on my page and I'm like, oh, that looked really good. And then I Google the author and I'm like, oh no. You know, they know all the right buzzwords to use. Oh, excuse me. And like I was saying earlier, for our, I hate to say this word, but I'm going to say it, for our real authors, for our real practitioners, are authentic, are genuine. I'm just sort of with the real word. Like I said, I had a hard with actually using the word fake. And I was like, no, this is strong enough to use the word fake. They're fake books. They're fake witches. And we have real books. And we have real witches. And we have real practitioners who have spent decades, who have, they're working a full-time job, raising a family, and they're studying until 3 o'clock in the morning. And we are so blessed when they choose to share their knowledge with us. And then their knowledge gets lost in this sea of flashy buzzword titles where they're like, why did I even do this? And I know this for me, like I said, where I worked, my last book, Conjuring Dirt, took me 3 years to write. The book before that, Hoodoo in the Psalms, 7 years to write that book. I write what I know, and I have my daytime life, I have another life, and so for me, it is a passion. And when I put my passion out and I want to share it with folks, and then to have it first plagiarized and repackaged and it's incomplete and garbled, and then secondly to see where all this fake crap books are on the same list as my books. Yeah, that's disheartening. It really is. And that was part of why I'm making this video, is because we need to be talking about this, and we need to be going in with our eyes wide open. We need to be making sure that we're putting our dollars into the pockets of the folks that are actually living this lifestyle, the folks in which this is a life commitment, the folks that the community is something to them. It's part of their lives. The magical community is a great place, and we need to support those people that are out there. We have some very talented small business people, and which are creating amazing things, and they're trying to sell it for a fair price. All right, they're not gouging. They're not selling you $3,000 love kits. And do not buy that $3,000 love kit. It is stupid. All right. And this is where right now we're surrounded. The best word I can use is noise. All right. It's all around us. We're trendy. And like I said, we love our aesthetics. I love the aesthetics. I mean, come on. But being mindful where I'm getting my aesthetics from, being mindful of who I'm supporting, and realizing that this noise is around me, and making sure that I am being more purposeful in who I support. And if we all did that, then we wouldn't be buying all of the commercialized crap. Hopefully, I would like to believe it. I think it would diminish it down. I think that right now, like I said, we're a free-for-all as far as communities are concerned, where it is just super money, hungry, and actual practitioners, and which have devoted their lives to this and who do offer services are up against this. And how important it is for us to support the community, how important it is for us to look at a book and oh my God, this one's $18.95, standard publishing price. This one, for some reason, is only $7.99. It's not that it's a bargain, witches. These people have nothing to do with us. These people just dip their toes into our community. They put on a witch hat. They got gothic because they found out they can make money off of us. And we have to show them that we're smarter than that. All right? And that for us, the community is more important. And I know many of y'all witches out there and other interested magical beings, y'all are up on a budget. And you're thinking, well, it's a lot easier to spend $7.99 than it is $19.95. I respect. I say it. And that's where I'm saying at the very least, at least go on eBay and get a used copy of the real thing. But you're not even getting a comparable product. Like I said, these books are absolutely garbled. It's tragically hilarious how bad some of them are. And I know for new folks, you're trying to find information. You don't know good, bad. So you're really like, oh, that's how it is. You believe this because you don't know any better. You know, how important it is you stay to reputable sources. So what can you do? Like I said, research those authors. Think about that witchy influencer who has that perfectly curated altar, who has the perfect witchy lifestyle pictures going on, and she wants to sell you whatever she's selling. It's a plethora of items and all, but really, who is that person? All right? Are they part of the community? Are they trying to help preserve the magic that we have been handed down through the generations, and it's up to us to pass it on to the next generation? All right? Are they part of that? Are they just coming into our community to see how much money they can take from us? And you'll start seeing differences in folks, all right? You know, where they, like I said, I hate to use the word real, and I'm using it again. Practitioners, magic folk, typically, we're fairly easy to find, especially for public figures. You know, I wrote a book. For me, I have the House of Witchcraft. I have the 13th Moon Academy. I have a YouTube channel. You're watching it. I do play with TikTok, but I've gotten bored with it. I just want y'all to know that straight up. I don't know. I'm not quite sure how I feel about TikTok yet. I saw some icky stuff of witches yelling at other witches, and I thought that was really sad. We should never do that. We should never do that. We should be about empowering and raising people up. And so when I saw that, I was like, I don't know if I want to be a part of that energy, you know? But it's easy enough what I'm saying to find me. I'm also getting ready to host events here at the Storybook Barn. You know, a couple months I was Mystic South, Atlanta, Georgia, where I was presenting different workshops. And you can go back through my things and you'll find me elsewhere. All right, I'm part of the community. Versus somebody that has the aesthetic witchy picture, a cute bio, but only seems to be in their own bubble and has never done anything, never contributed, never part of. All they want to do is sell you, sell you, sell you. And to see the difference, said we've got some great folks. It is up to us. It's up to us to clean up our own yard and to kick the trash out. That's what I'm saying. And I want you witches and other interesting magical beings to really pay attention to who you're following on social media, who you're supporting, and where your dollars are going. And if you're a new person and you're like, what do I do? How do I find people? We have local witchy, pagan, occult, magic events all over the globe. Different names for them depending on where you're at, but we're out there. You can find us. And to go out in person, you know, look up in your local area Facebook groups according to whatever you're interested in. Join that group. Odds are they're going to have a day in the park. Odds are they're going to have a coffee clutch. Go to it. Those are the people you need because they're in person. They're going to talk with you. And that's where they'll start name dropping on, oh my God, this person, da-da-da, I went to their workshop. I got their book, you know, where you get to hear firsthand. And to get out in our community and even I know many of y'all are in the closet and it's hard and I totally respect. All right. But what I can tell you is that we are very much aware of that That's what you will see. They're like, well, why don't you have any footage of it? We can't. We had witches and other interesting magical beings who do not have that luxury. They're very much in the closet. So we protect them. It's like when I went to Mystic South and at this conference, and there's hundreds and hundreds of us. There ain't no footage of it. We're all mindful of it. I will not take out my camera unless I know that it's at a wall and I'm taking pictures. And you'll see people who will actually bring out, and they'll be like, I'm taking a picture, so that people around them know and make sure that they can step off, all right? The community is there to help you. And, again, getting into the community is going to help you understand, learn, be able to discern, be able to identify these fake witches and these fake books. And I feel like I just gave a giant PSA message. And so I hope this gets some of y'all's wheels thinking a little bit more. I really want to stress how much good we have after I'm sitting here talking about all that bad. Because yes, we have them, but we have so much good. We have some amazing folks in our community. Do not in any way let this dissuade you. Let this turn you off, or you're like, oh, it's all bad. If you had a bad experience with a person, that's what you had. You had a bad experience with this person. You did not have a bad experience with the community itself. Regardless of all of the stuff that's going on, we have an amazingly vibrant, diverse, it's so awesome community. So lean into it, witches. And I'm going to end this by the way I always do, with get out there, fly those brooms, have a bright, blessed day. And as always, amen, blessed be, ashe, and ekbobo. Woo! Y'all ever have that moment your bra strap's just sliding down and you're trying to act cool about it? You're just like, and I'm thinking, if I touch the bra strap again, then it's going to be noticeable. All the thoughts that are going on in your head when you're shooting a video and you're trying to stay on notes. And it's too funny because a lot of times I'm like, I have notes, and I just sort of browse through them. I don't really hold them too hard. And I'm thinking, maybe I should on it. That wasn't actually sort of a difficult video for me to shoot. Like I was saying, I don't like that idea of fake, because I think they'll be like, oh, you're not a real witch. I'm like, who the hell are you? When did you become the queen, king of the witches and can decide who's real and who's not? And their level of witchy may not be your level of witchy. My level of witchy may not be your level of witchy. Your level of witchy may not, but and I get, oh, they're not real. They don't practice. I'm like, well, hell, what's wrong with being an aesthetic witch? Makes you feel better about yourself. I'm like, go for it. We need to stop stomping on our community, and embracing all the different flavors. And oftentimes I talk about, I don't have to understand your magic. I just got to respect you're doing magic. That's it. And of course, I love what Tim Walz, our candidate for vice president, who I hope makes it, talking about mind your own damn business. And I was like, if we could just have a little bit more of that, I think we'd be a much better place. Big world, as well as in our own community. And how quick we are to tear each other down, jump on each other, somehow discredit each other. I'm gonna prove, or something. Oh, he's not doing it right. I have to go tell everybody. I'm like, what if we reversed that and we went around, when we saw somebody do something great, we went around telling everybody how awesome they were, When we saw something that was just really the coolest thing ever, we went around telling everybody about that. And I know that statistically the proven is we're 3 times more likely to complain than we are 3 times more likely to give a compliment. And that's just sad. And now, with all the shit going on in the world, the magical community, the witchcraft community, we need to really start embracing each other and all of our differences and all of our funkiness, you know. I mean, I'm Southern conjure, all right? You know, and I get it. I get nailed. And then I talk about the fact that I stand on the crossroads of folk magic, conjure, of hoodoo and of voodoo. My godfather, Papa Nico, is a Haitian voodoo priest. All right? I'm influenced by it. I live in the Low Country. I mean, my neighbor's Gullah. All right? I'm influenced in hoodoo. It's in Southern conjure's roots. Part of our roots are hoodoo. But when you start saying that, you see people like, oh no, I can't, oh, that's scary. That don't make sense to me. You can't do that. You can't be that. You know, and start saying the, CA to me, cultural appropriation. And I'm like, I took eggs to Miss Pearl this morning. But I'm thinking, you don't know my life, and also my own moral decisions with that, because you'll see if you look around, I don't do services, all right, for that very reason, because I am really concerned that my knowledge base, unknowingly subconscious, unconscious type stuff, that I would be using things in which are of local flavor. I would be using some of the things Miss Pearl told me. I would be using some of the knowledge I have from Papa Nico. And that as a white woman, I stepped over the line. And so years ago, I already thought this one through. This is like a 20-year-old decision for me where I'm like, ooh, white girl in the room. What do I do with that? How do I respect it? How do I honor the knowledge that's been given to me? I don't do services. In no way do I profit. And am very mindful of that. And how I conduct my business and my spirituality and my magic. And I have my own internal thoughts on it periodically where I'm just like thinking, am I doing right? And I talk with Pop about it. Like I said, I talk with Miss Pearl because Miss Pearl's so cool. I love Miss Pearl. She sits and she just shakes her head at me sometimes and she'll be like, white people. And I just get a kick out of her. But I have those internal conversations and have made my own decisions. But unfortunately, some people are like, Tara Nash, she says she did, the hoodoo, voodoo, Southern conjure, folk magic, I don't know about that. And I'm like, you didn't even come talk to me about it. All right? You're already deciding I'm all of these things. It's like I've had somebody knock me and tell me that they would never have my book, Hoodoo and the Psalms, in their shop because I'm a witch. And witches can't do hoodoo. And I stand by what I call the book, Hoodoo and the Psalms. I had some very deep conversations with local practitioners. Like I was saying, for me, Hoodoo and the Psalms was a 7-year journey. And I was sitting at Papa's shop and I was right in the middle of hoodoo, right in the middle of practitioners coming and buying and having conversations with them. And it is their blessings that was put upon me. And that I'm good with. I don't care what anybody says on the internet. If you don't want to have my book in your shop, don't. All right? I'm not going to worry about it, because, again, I'm going to keep my business. I know what that book's about. And those workings were 7 years in the making. You know, granted, the first 10,000 words I could have wrote a little better, but I didn't know the words yet. I was still learning them. Because when you're inside the bubble, you don't realize what an anomaly you are when you're in the culture. Because there's other white folks. I'm not the only one. We are a minority within this culture. But with, like, for me, locally, this is my folks. This is my community. And, you know, for me, I carry the stories. And I love to tell the stories. And if you come around me in person, you'll hear me talk about, you know, well, let's see, I'm going to tell you all my favorite story. Macaroni and cheese. Macaroni and cheese is my favorite story. All right. Do y'all know? Yeah, I know. You're like, macaroni and cheese? What the hell is she talking about? All right. And I'm like, ooh, because it's a good story. Okay. Thomas Jefferson. Y'all know who he is, right? He was that president guy a long time ago. Everybody liked him. He also signed some pretty fancy paperwork. We call it the Constitution. I think he also, the Declaration of Independence. He became president. And he knew as president that he had to have fancy meals. And that he was going to have folks, you know, from other countries, dignitaries and embassies. And he was going to have to be having good food at the White House. Okay? So, now at the time, Thomas Jefferson was a slaveholder. Thomas Jefferson had a plantation. This is part of our history, folks. But Thomas Jefferson sent his best cook, an enslaved black man, to a French cooking school to France. He studied in one of the best. And actually, he was one of the top students there. All right? But he came back and he learned about those creamy cheese sauces of France. All right? And, you know, macaroni, fairly American, fairly inexpensive type food at the time. Pasta type noodles and things like that. So, to a dish, he created macaroni and cheese, which was served at the White House to all the dignitaries. All right? That's the history of America. It's garbled. It's funky. It's sometimes you got to wrap your head around it. But in the end, we came out with a really, really good dish. And that's what we have to remember. And we have to be able to tell these stories. And if you want to learn more about my macaroni and cheese story, there is a show, High on the Hog, on Netflix. Watch it. Amazing. All right. Talking about how the African, the Black American foods truly came and became all part of America. Like I said, served in the White House. But here in the South, we are very much influenced by the African foods and how they were prepared. And then later on, you know, very much influenced by enslaved folks and how they prepared food as well. I know in the Low Country here, in South Carolina, Charleston, like down into Savannah, a little above Charleston, it's called Low Country. I live on the sea island, like I said. I live right among the Gullah folk. But that food is our norm. We're raised on it. We don't know any different. All right? We like our collards, you know, our shrimp and grits, some green fried tomatoes, fried okra. I love fried okra. I'm a true Southerner. I'm like, fry it, I'll eat it. But how much those different flavors influence us, and how much of a funky gumbo we are. And ultimately, I'm a reflection of that funky gumbo. And sometimes for folks in which are trying to put things in boxes, they can't put me in a box. They're like, you know, is she a witch? Is she Southern conjure? Is she this? Is she this? And I'm like, Guess what? I'm complicated and I get to be all of it. And I'm going to end this video with, you can be just as complicated. That's how it's supposed to be. All right? Be complicated. Be one day this and the next day that. Be the spice and the variety of life, you know? Embrace where you stand. Embrace the influences that you have and let your authentic voice come out. And don't let anybody tell you that, no, you can't do that. You know, I just moved. I said I was going to end the video, but I've got a little rant. I just moved from Southern California, all right? I lived in San Diego County. I did not live in the city of San Diego. I lived out in the county, right in the middle. I was completely Latino. I went down to the Latino grocery store, which I really miss. I got to live out there for a couple of years, and I met a lot of witches out there, you know, and regardless of their own ethnicity, nationality, this is where they grew up. This mixture, this Spanglish is what they know. And, you know, you got cute little white girl who's all wrapped up in Latino culture, but that's her neighborhood. It's also members of her family. It's everywhere around her. And then, you know, somebody come up and tell her, oh, you can't do that, all right? You know, it's confusing, it's disheartening, and you're like, you start questioning, am I doing it right? Am I doing it right? You know, am I only allowed to worship Norse gods because they're white? And questions like that, where, you know, so many of us are this wonderful amalgamation, you know, if you look into your own ancestry and all the places and everything else, and you're like, you know, we're all of that plus the dirt we stand on. For us in America, I know I have an international audience there, but for us in America, we're funky. We're a funky gumbo, and we need to learn to embrace it and celebrate it. And now I'm going to end the video for real. Go fly your brooms. This was a casual talk, so I ain't saying what I normally say. I'm just going to tell you, go fly those brooms, have fun. And at the very, very, be a good dark witch. Bye.